Hello everyone, I welcome all of you to Center of Computer Technology where we are going to start with this brand new course on Python programming language. So basically question arises, what is a program? As you can see, it is written that it is a set of instructions given to the computer to get the desired output. So suppose if you want to make a program where you have to enter two numbers and add them, you need to know a programming language so that you can type in into the computer and tell what type of program you want. So there are various programming languages, and each of the programming language has its own way of writing a particular program. So if you are learning any programming language, you need to understand the syntax of that program. So basically there are three categories of programming languages: low level language, middle level language, and high level language, which we are going to study further in our upcoming slides. So now comes a low level language category, which we are going to see in much detail. The first low level language that was implemented was machine language. Now, as the term suggests, machine language used two digits for programming, that was 0 and 1. So out of the combination of zeros and ones, the programmers used to work on the systems. But the only thing was that at that time the systems were very much large in size, just equivalent to the size of a big hall. And so the programming was also quite complicated. So to make one particular character, you had to use a combination of zeros and ones of 8 digits. 8 digits of zeros and ones formed one character at a time. So it was very difficult to debug the programs also. Debug means to find out the errors. Suppose you are typing a word computer in that, and by mistake instead of O you get some other character like V or P or S. So again you will have to reassess the entire program to see where the zeros and ones have gone wrong. So that is why it was not very easy to understand this programming language, and so common people were away, they were out of this language. And it was not a portable language. That means once you make a program in a computer using a machine language, you will not be able to copy it to another system. You may ask a question, why is it so? The reason is that all the zeros and ones depend on the machine architecture. So, but natural, each and every system will be having different machine architecture, right? So this was all about the machine language. Now let's look into assembly language. Now in the second generation, assembly language was introduced, which used some English type of words like add, ADD for addition, SUB for subtraction, MULT for multiplication, which were known as the mnemonic codes. So if there was an inclusion of the English language, the computer wasn't able to understand this, and so they needed translator, which was known as assembler, to convert those mnemonic codes into machine language. So here also at times it was portable, but at times it was not portable at all. People could understand a bit of this because of the inclusion of the English language. So here we see that first time in the computer programming language a translator was used. So this was all about the assembly language. Then third generation language came into existence, and it was purely English like. For example, BASIC, which was the very first language introduced completely in English type of programming that people could easily understand, and so they started taking interest in the use of computers and making programs in it. But since it was again English like, so computer could not understand it, and again it used a translator which was known as interpreter. So this was the very first time in the history of the computer languages that we saw the use of complete English language in a program. Then we can see fourth generation languages, in which C and C++, Java, Python, Fortran, COBOL, all these were introduced. So let me tell you that C and C++ are known as middle level language because they have got the mixture of both high level and low level. If you happen to study C ever in your life, you will see that it uses a concept of pointers, which makes it a low level language. While Java, Python, all these are completely English type of languages. They are portable in nature. You can copy these programs, you can give it to your friend, and he or she can run on their systems. But since I have told you that C and C++ are middle level languages, they use compiler. Compiler is a translator to convert those programs written in C and C++ into machine language. While Java, Python, all these use interpreters. So basically we see that there are three translators: assembler, interpreter, and compiler. And now I think you must have understood that why do we need translators? To convert our English like instructions into machine language for the computer to understand it. So now let's look into the basic difference between a compiler and interpreter. I'll tell you an example. Suppose you have got a letter from your friend who speaks German. Suppose you do not know German. You will ask one of your other friends who knows German, to translate that letter and tell you. So that person can use two methods. One method is he or she will read the whole letter and tell you the gist of it, or he or she can read one line at a time from the letter and tell you the meaning of each of it. That same difference we can see in interpreter and compiler. Compiler will read the whole program and then translate it into machine language and give the output, while interpreter will read one line at a time and give the output, or the execution will be done immediately. In compiler, there is a disadvantage. If there is even a single error in your entire program, the program will never be executed till all the errors are removed. While in case of interpreter, if initial 5 lines are okay, they will be executed. You will get the output of those lines, but it will stop at that line where there is an error, right? So this is a basic difference.